Hey guys, thanks for joining me on Tanks and Fish. Today we're going to be doing a video about guppies. We're going to run through a quick list, facts, basically just how to care for guppies, feeding them, breeding them, and whatnot. So let's go through a quick list and let's take a look at them. Alright guys, let's get into the video. So far I have here is my 10-gallon with my two guppies. They're rather new, just had them for a couple of weeks so far. I'm actually going to try breeding these guys, see what I can get out of them. Ideally, when you purchase guppies, you want to usually get a trio. One male to two females is usually the ideal ratio that you want to keep in your tanks. The more the better, but you always want to keep a higher ratio of females to the males. As you can see here throughout the video, you'll notice the male kind of chasing the female consistently. So to avoid harassment and the females getting too stressed out, it's recommended you get more than one female per male guppy that you get. The minimum tank size I would recommend is probably a 20-gallon. They can go as low as a 5-gallon ideally, but you always want to keep them in something much bigger than they are. That way the water quality is easy to care for them and they have plenty of swim space. They do get pretty large, as you can see here. They'll get 2 to 3 inches long on you. So the more tank space they have, the better, especially if you're planning on breeding your guppies. The water quality you want to keep your guppies at, usually they like hard water, a lot of calcium in that water. You want to keep them at a pH of about 7.4 or higher. Anything lower they can probably adjust to it, but they'll thrive more for you at a 7.4 or higher. The water temperature, you want to keep it usually about 76 degrees is, I would say, the sweet spot for them. The warmer you keep the tank, the faster they're going to reproduce, the faster they're going to grow for you. The cooler you keep your tank, the slower the process is. The usual lifespan of a guppy is about 2 years. So depending on what you're doing with your guppies, you want to adjust the temperature to what you're looking for. Cooler if you want to make them last longer, you're not so worried about breeding. Warmer if you're actually trying to breed your guppies. The growth time for a guppy from pretty much being born is about 10 to 15 weeks for them to start breeding. They are live bearers, so that means they give birth to live young. So you will see usually about every 30 days the female will be popping out babies. You'll have a million fish and be overwhelmed before you know it if you don't keep it in check. Breeding these fish for profit is usually the #1 thing fish hobbyists do. They're pretty easy to breed and they're pretty easy to sell. They're beautiful fish, so they sell rather quickly. Most local pet shops will buy them up from you. I would say more of the mom and pop stores versus the big box chain stores, Petco's, PetSmarts, things like that. They won't buy these fish from you. But your local pet stores will definitely buy them up. Craigslist, you can throw them up in any forum you might be a part of. They usually sell pretty well. As stated, they give birth pretty much every 30 days. If you don't give your fry a lot of hiding places, they usually will end up getting eaten by the parents, especially if you're not keeping them on a good diet. You won't see any young being pretty much born or growing up in your tank. If you are planning on breeding, I would recommend having a nice planted tank or plenty of decorations for your fry to hide in. The moment they drop, they can just easily swim into something to hide and they won't be eaten by the parents. I actually like keeping a nice planted tank for them, a lot of Java moss, a lot of carpeting plants, things like that. I even have some tanks with some fake decorations for them to hide in, since I do breed these. The females are usually a little bit bigger than the males. They're a lot rounder, as you can tell, so you'll be easy to spot them. At the bottom of the fish is you got the small kind of anal fin. For the females, you'll see the female swimming around here has the kind of triangular shape to her anal fin. And the male usually has a kind of little stick kind of poking out. It's a little fin and it looks like a little stick kind of poking out. That's how you'll be able to tell the difference between the both fish here. But again, usually you can tell by the size of them, the coloration. Males are always usually brighter. There are some females that get pretty bright in color, but they'll usually be always bigger than the male. their diet, you want to keep a varied diet for these fish. They're very non-picky fish. They're scavengers. They'll literally eat their own poop if you let them. So always having a clean tank is good for them, but also keeping a good diet for them, such as tropical flakes. A variation of tropical flakes, they'll accept pretty much anything. Freeze-dried brine shrimp is usually good to give them that protein that they need. Some Daphnia, even the frozen. Usually the frozen is probably packed more with vitamins for them versus the freeze-dried, but both will do the job just fine. Occasionally I will feed mine a couple of frozen peas. Just kind of de-shell them before you feed it to them. Mush them up a little bit and just kind of throw them to the tank. They'll sink usually to the bottom and they'll just nibble on that. That's usually good for their digestive system. Little tip there that I do with my guppies to keep them healthy. Usually when you buy fish straight from the fish store, you just want to make sure that they're not coming in with any infections or diseases. So when you first get your fish, just make sure you go through the quarantine process. That way you're not introducing any diseases or anything into your tank. Some of the tank mates for the fish, I would probably recommend some cherry barbs, tetras, different kinds of tetras, maybe some rasboras, plecos. With the plecos, you just got to worry sometimes with the fry. They might, if they run across them, they might eat one or two of them from you, maybe even a couple. So just keep an eye on that. Other than that, like I said, these fish are pretty easy to breed. They grow rather quickly. Every 30 days they're drop and fry, but they are easy to sell. If you're not looking to sell, pretty much just don't provide any cover for the fry and the parents will pretty much handle the job for you. 2-year lifespan, so they pretty much will live for a little while, but you always got to start thinking about replacement fish for them every couple of years. All right, guys, so we just went ahead and ran through a quick list. Hopefully it made sense for you. These are absolutely some of my favorite fish. I usually keep a couple of tanks of them for breeding and just for keeping. They're beautiful, beautiful fish. So hopefully I helped you out in learning a little bit about guppies, and hopefully I did them enough justice for you. So we'll go ahead and check you out on the next video. Hopefully I get something uploaded rather soon for you guys. Give me a like, subscribe, and